and they do appear to be a different prospect, Jan, that we might have been facing if we'd been playing them a bit earlier in the season when we were supposed to.
Yeah, I mean, when we were due to play them early December, obviously Sean Dyche was still the manager. Sean Dyche is a good, honest manager, but I just think it ran its course. You know, ever since he set foot inside Goodison Park, it's been nothing but problems, and he's never really been capable of getting the team moving. He's never really been able to get them away from those bottom places. So it was only a matter of time. David Moyes, yeah, I always think it's a brave decision to bring back an ex-manager. But he did it. He gave him a shot in the arm. I mean, Manchester United came to Anfield early 2025, and you kind of go, give me a reason why United got a chance. The only reason you could give at the time was that rivalry between Liverpool and Manchester United. And I'll almost feel the same on Wednesday, because we're having a better season than Everton and we got better players. So what is the chances? Why is it such a big game? Well, it's because of the rivalry. And we come unstuck there a few times in the last few years. So the Bournemouth game in the FA Cup at the weekend, they were well beaten. They didn't even do what they normally do well. They didn't defend well. Tarkowski, who obviously we know what Tarkowski brings, and he didn't play well. There was quite a number that we didn't play particularly well. Now this one, they'll play well, but there'll still be a limit to how well they can play. So the performance they've had under Moyes that they need against us is probably the one at Brighton, you know, where they was backs to the wall, defend, and got the goal. I think it was from a penalty, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, we've put too long in the tooth for this, Trevor. We just know what it can be like to go to Goodison, isn't it? We know how they're going to play. It's going to be a low block, 9 men behind the ball. Everything that comes into the box, they're going to head and kick clear. We need a bit of luck. You know that Tarkowski is going to be a man mountain. You know that Pickford is going to make 3 or 4 saves where you go, how did you do that? You know, so it's going to be one of those games. All those things I've just described there will be part of the game. That doesn't necessarily we won't win the game, you know, but it's just a question of can we break through? Going the other way, I think it's going to be a long way from Everton defending to attacking our goal. They got better up front, was a willing runner. But you do have 1 or 2 injury problems. They've got quite a few of their most influential players. So, then on top of that, Trevor, it's the last ever derby at Goodison Park. What will that mean? Hey, the old stadium will be rocking, absolutely rocking.
I think that's a huge thing to factor in. You know, as someone who's played there a lot over the years, Jan, yourself, I don't think people really fully get it. I wasn't expecting it myself as a naive Irishman coming over, you know, in the period of time where it was the friendly derby was the phrase that I heard before I actually got to Goodison Park and experienced the lack of friendliness on an extreme scale. And I think you put your finger in something there, man. That will be a factor. It can't not be a factor, that atmosphere. And the fact that it could have real significance for them. I think, and I'm hoping, that you factor in all the lads who come back, your Szoboszlais and your Salas and your Max and your Cody Gakpo's banging form, people like that. You have Virgil on that pitch. And I think, like you said, we should have too much, but we can't underestimate, Jan. It is really significant that this is the last derby at Goodison.
The first 3 times I went to Goodison Park, Trevor, the first one was I played in Mark Higgins, an ex-Everton player's testimonial. Then a couple of days later, I went to watch a league game, Everton against Chelsea. Chelsea won 4-3. And then at the turn of the year, I went to watch a game in Europe, Everton against Bayern Munich. So I went to Goodison 3 times before I even played there. And this was at the start of, I think you're allowed to call it Everton's golden era, 84 to 88. What an atmosphere was, Trevor. It was unreal. So I can imagine tomorrow night it'll be something similar because, you know, this is the one game, isn't it, where almost regardless of how the game's going, they're going to stay with their team, aren't they? They're going to stay with the team. They're going to show, because they know the world we're watching. Yeah, it's going to be you just got me going now, Trev. I mean, I'm going to the game, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it even more now.
Same, like I'm added excitement. The fact that you mentioned that, I had forgotten it. It's great. So here we are, geeing each other up. And like, it's just one last point in this. I mean, you like the lineup in their most recent impressive win, the 4-0 over Leicester. They went Pickford, Tarkowski and Branthwaite, and they had Mikalenko at left back and O'Brien at right back. And yeah, you mentioned the injuries. They've got quite a few there. There's a couple of right backs. Garner and Guay in midfield. And they had Doucouré, Lindstrom, Ndai, and Beto up top. From their bench, they could bring Ashley Young and Jack Harrison and Nathan Patterson. They all came in. Asmir Begovic is on the bench there as well. They had Harrison Armstrong and João Virginia. And I think I've seen, and Martin Sharif as well, who I'm not familiar with. The point I'm making, and the reason I bring that up, Jan, just to tie into what you were just saying, that golden era of Everton, like where you have to give them their flowers, that was what a team that was. They were the ones putting it up to you lot at the time. And not just coming close, but actually winning the titles and, stuff like that. You have credit where it's due. Do you, when you think back on that iteration of Everton, obviously, there were the stars. You had Graham Sharp banging in goals up front, and you had Kevin Ratcliffe, who was, pretty impressive at the back for them. For me, the greatest Everton player I've ever seen, just because I don't think there was anyone quite like him in the league. And he may well have been one of the most effective in his position I've ever seen, was the goalkeeper. What a player he was, Jan. What a player he was, firing himself around the goal, looked quite ungainly, and yet got to everything in Neville Southall. When you think back on that team, was there any specific rivalry you had on the park, or anyone you pick it?
Yeah. Obviously, Peter Reid and Post Bracewell was in midfield in those days. And to be fair, both of them were competitive. I think probably people look at Bracewell maybe being a better footballer than Peter Reid is, but they could both get after you. Mobile, really, really good players. But he was everywhere, Trevor. And the funny thing was that we socialised with them. So we'd get back to Anfield from an away game, which obviously meant Everton had played at home. And I'd say to Rush, we're going for a pint. And he'll go, I'm meeting Rats. Now, Rats was Kevin Ratcliffe. So I'll go, tag along, and we would go somewhere and have a pint with Ratcliffe, I was kidnapped at some stage in 1984 by the left back, Pat Mandanao. I met him, and I never forget it. So I met him on a Monday night at some event or whatever, and blah, blah. And I read a slip that I was still staying in the city centre hotel. So when I came back from training the next day, he was sitting in the coffee shop. And somebody said, there's a guest here for you. And I went in, it was Mandanao. He basically kidnapped him for 2 days. Coming here. So, it was incredible. Sharpie's a really good friend of mine. And funny enough, I was with Reedy not so long ago, and I said, when we played back in the day, Reedy, I never used to see you. He said, no. He said, yeah, and I never moved. He lived in Bolton, so he used to commute between Liverpool and Bolton. He said, so no, you never really saw me. I said, no, I can't remember ever running into you. But yeah, all the others, we were just everywhere. We went the same places. And today, I don't know how that would go down if you saw Virgil van Dijk and Tarkowski having a pint together in Wetherspoons in Liverpool, So,
didn't you tell me as well at one stage that Howard Wilkinson also kidnapped you and Rushy in terms of a couple of days out at the races and stuff?
Oh, he went to Royal Ascot with him, which, honestly, God, it was something else. But also, he took us out for the meal, Rushy and me, in Italian in Liverpool. And I rung my wife at 8 o'clock. I said, "Come and get me." She went, "What's happened? What's happened to you?" I said, "Howard Kendall." And I could have a go with the best. Yeah, she said, "I said Howard Kendall." Oh yeah, you couldn't make it up, could you? So on a Friday afternoon, before season due to start, Everton obviously playing. We were playing away, but me and Russia were both injured, so it's early 90s, isn't it? And 3 guys having a meal in an Italian restaurant. Howard, Russia, and me. Priceless, isn't it?
It is priceless. And I just realised, I just a slip of the tongue actually said Howard Wilkinson. It was a whole different kettle of fish.
Howard Kendall, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, very, very different time.